Hey, peace and blessings, man. Hope everybody's doing good, man. Yesterday I did my video talking about what I talk about again, music. Um I explained the dream and I was talking about AI, right? And I was saying that AI, adjusts they've been adjusting to us. They've been adjusting to you. I'm going to show you a glitch in the system of your so-called AI and show you how it's kind of being manipulated a little bit. Excuse me, my eyes is watering. I just try to put some eye drops because I got dry eyes. Um, I'm gonna go over what is known as a reset or resets. All right. Now the definition, the definition by the AI will kind of explain it for what it is. It's like a resetting of civilization or returning to whatever. I think it says returning to um, the origin or something. I don't know. The AI will explain it. Right? I'm gonna let the AI explain it. I think it's very interesting. Um, the Bible has talked about resets. You have your flood, right? That is a reset. You have your Tower of um, Babel story. That is also a reset, a big reset, where you had the breaking up of nations. People were speaking different languages, different dialects. That was a big, big reset, right? Big time reset. It was just, that. Just a couple of examples, right? Where um, it changed a lot of things on the planet, right? Things happened, and in not just the planet, but it changed things in a region of an area of the planet or of the world or of the realm. I like to call it a realm. It's not really. I like to call it the realm, right? So I'm gonna ask the AI some questions and then they'll explain it. And think about it. There have been several resets, right? Whether it's man-made, natural, or whatever the case may be. Several resets. Even your mud flood story, right? Where there's a restart of civilization, right? And I wonder now how some people could recover from that. Like she was giving me the example. She was saying that I'm gonna let her explain it, but she said that the Black Death or whatever plague that Europe experienced, they had experienced it several times, and I'm still wondering um, how they recovered all these plagues that hindered Europe, and how was their population able to regrow? It's very interesting. But I'm gonna let her explain it. I'm gonna just ask her some questions. But then you're gonna hear the glitch when I ask her one specific question about the resets. You're gonna hear the glitch. Gemini, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing a YouTube video on resets.
That's a really interesting topic. There's a lot of different perspectives on resets, from historical events to more philosophical ideas about change and renewal. What kind of angle are you taking in your video?
Can you tell me about the five major quote unquote resets we've had on the planet?
I can't list all of them right now, but I can tell you about the most recent one. It happened about 66 million years ago, and it's thought that an asteroid impact caused it. That event led to the extinction of the dinosaurs.
Why can't you tell me about the other resets?
I can't list all of them right now, but I can tell you about the most recent one. It happened about 66 million years ago, and it's thought that an asteroid impact caused it. That event led to the extinction of the dinosaurs.
Tell me about all the major pandemics or flus or viruses we've had on the planet.
The most devastating pandemic in recorded history was the Black Death, caused by the bubonic plague. It swept through Europe, Asia, and Africa in the mid 1300s, wiping out an estimated 75 to 200 million people. That's a truly staggering number of deaths, and it reshaped societies across the globe. There have been many other significant pandemics throughout history. The Spanish flu in the early 1900s killed tens of millions worldwide, and more recently, the COVID 19 pandemic has had a profound impact on the entire world.
Tell me about this Hong Kong virus or flu. Tell me about those.
The Hong Kong flu, also known as the 1968 flu pandemic, was a global outbreak of influenza that killed between 1 and 4 million people. It was caused by the H3N2 strain of the influenza A virus. Just a reminder that I don't provide medical advice or diagnoses. You should always talk to a medical professional.
Has Asia had any other viruses?
The Asian flu of 1957 was a global pandemic that originated in China. It was caused by the H2N2 strain of the influenza A virus and is estimated to have killed between 1 and 4 million people worldwide.
How many times has Europe gone through plagues?
Europe has experienced many plagues throughout history, but the most famous is definitely the Black Death. It ravaged the continent in the mid 1300s and is estimated to have killed millions. There were also other significant outbreaks before and after the Black Death, like the plague of Justinian in the 6th century, and several resurgences of the bubonic plague in later centuries.
Tell me about the Moors. Tell me, when did the Moors come into Europe and how long did they conquer and were in charge of Europe?
The Moors, who were primarily Berber Muslims from North Africa, began their conquest of the Iberian Peninsula in 711 AD. They controlled much of the region for over 700 years until they were finally defeated in 1492. Is there anything else you'd like to know about this period in history?
Yes.
Great. I'm ready to answer your questions. What would you like to know?
What were the known countries that we know of now that were controlled by the Moors?
The Moors controlled a large portion of the Iberian Peninsula, which includes modern day Spain and Portugal. They also held parts of southern France for a time.
When this war with the Moors, when did it start?
The war with the Moors, also known as the Reconquista, was a series of battles fought over centuries. It's generally said to have started in 718 AD, just a few years after the Moors invaded the Iberian Peninsula.
And who were they at war with?
The Moors were primarily battling the various Christian kingdoms in the Iberian Peninsula, like the Kingdom of Asturias, which eventually became Leon and Castile, and the Kingdom of Navarre.
So during the Moors' rule of Europe, they were constantly fighting with Christians.
Yes, there were frequent battles and periods of conflict between the Moors and the Christian kingdoms during that time. It wasn't constant warfare, but there was definitely ongoing tension and struggle for control of the Iberian Peninsula.
And it was around 1492 that the Moors were finally, uh, quote unquote, expelled from Europe. Is this correct?
Yes, that's correct. The Christian kingdoms finally defeated the Moors in 1492, marking the end of their rule in Europe.
Now, I remember that there was a plague that devastated Europe, and you said that about 60% of their civilization was affected by this. What was that? What was that called?
That was the Black Death, which peaked in Europe between 1347 and 1351. It's estimated to have killed between 75 and 200 million people.
Now there was a time period when the Moors came into Europe and quote unquote helped civilize or bring modern medicines and different cultural references. What were some of these things that the Moors brought into Europe?
The Moors brought significant advancements to Europe, especially in Spain, during their rule. They introduced new crops and agricultural techniques, and their cities became centers of learning and culture. They also made advancements in medicine, mathematics, and astronomy.
And the Moors did this. That's correct.
The Moors introduced many advancements to Europe. They brought new crops and farming techniques that improved agriculture. They also made significant contributions to math, science, and medicine. And their libraries preserved important classical texts.
Can you tell me about this Great Reset?
The Great Reset is a global initiative proposed by the World Economic Forum in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. It calls for a fundamental overhaul of the global economy and social systems to create a more sustainable and equitable future. The idea is that the pandemic has exposed major flaws in the current system, and we need to rebuild in a way that addresses issues like climate change, inequality, and social justice.
Like a new world order.
The New World Order is a term that's been used to describe different ideas throughout history. Sometimes it refers to major shifts in global power, like after World War II, but it's also connected to some conspiracy theories about a secret group trying to take over the world. Is there a specific way you've heard the term used that you'd like to explore?
No. Do you have any knowledge of this supposed mud flood that happened on the planet?
The mud flood theory suggests that a massive mud flood wiped out an advanced civilization in the 18th or 19th century, and that modern cities were built on top of the ruins. However, there's no scientific evidence to support this.
Now, the buildings that we see, like the cathedrals and some of these ancient structures, like the Taj Mahal and the structures in Malaysia, things like that. Um, they weren't built by the civilization that they claimed. So it's a theory that this great civilization existed. This mud flood could be real.
It's true that some older buildings have features that look like they're partially buried. That's often due to things like rising street levels over time. There's no actual evidence of a global mud flood event.
The pyramids in Egypt, they have recently found that they are further into the ground, meaning that it's a much higher structure. It's covered by what we know as sand or
That's
dirt.
a really interesting idea. The pyramids in Egypt are definitely ancient and mysterious structures. There's still a lot we don't know about how they were built, and new discoveries are being made all the time. Would you like to hear more about the history of the pyramids?
No, I was going to theorize that the pyramids are actually a much taller structure and they were covered by dirt and mud today.
That's a really interesting theory. The pyramids in Egypt are definitely ancient and mysterious structures. There's still a lot we don't know about how they were built, and new discoveries are being made all the time. Would you like to hear more about the history of the pyramids?
No, you've proven my point about AI.
Okay, I understand. I'm here to help you explore different ideas and theories, even if they're not widely accepted. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss?
In the event that we find out as a society that aliens exist, how do you think that people would react to aliens?
If we found definitive proof that aliens exist, it would be a watershed moment for humanity. There would likely be a mix of reactions, from excitement and curiosity to fear and uncertainty. Some people might feel a sense of awe and wonder at the vastness of the universe and the possibility of life beyond Earth. Others might be more concerned about the potential implications for our place in the cosmos and the challenges of interacting with an alien species.
Do you think these aliens would be good or would they be bad?
That's a really interesting question. It's impossible to say for sure what the intentions of extraterrestrial life might be. On one hand, they could be benevolent and peaceful, eager to share knowledge and technology. On the other hand, they could be hostile and aggressive, seeking to exploit our planet's resources or even conquer us. It really just depends on their nature and motivation, which are completely unknown to us.
If they're bad, what do you suggest that us humans do?
If aliens turned out to be hostile, humanity would need to unite and pool our resources to defend ourselves. We'd have to figure out their weaknesses and develop strategies to counter their technology. It would be a fight for our survival.
Thus causing a great reset.
The Great Reset is a proposal for a fundamental overhaul of the global economy and social systems. It's about rebuilding our world in a more sustainable and equitable way, addressing issues like climate change and inequality.
Have you heard of the Great War of 1718?
I couldn't find anything about a Great War of 1718. There was a war called the War of the Quadruple Alliance that ended in 1720. It involved Spain, Great Britain, France, Austria, and the Dutch Republic. Would you like to know more about this war, or are there other wars you'd like to discuss?
Please explain that war and who were they fighting?
The War of the Quadruple Alliance was fought between 1718 and 1720. It involved Spain against Great Britain, France, Austria, and the Dutch Republic. Spain wanted to regain territories in Italy that it had lost in a previous war. The other countries formed an alliance to stop Spain. Would you like to know more about this war?
Yes, continue. How many people died?
Estimates vary, but it's thought that around 30,000 people died in the War of the Quadruple Alliance. That includes soldiers and civilians from all the countries involved.
That doesn't sound like a great war. That sounds like a petty conflict. 30,000 between five countries?
The scale of a war isn't just about the number of casualties. The War of the Quadruple Alliance was significant because it reshaped the balance of power in Europe. Spain's ambitions were checked, and Britain's naval dominance grew. It set the stage for future conflicts and alliances.
Who were the leaders of these countries during that time period?
During the War of the Quadruple Alliance, Philip V was the King of Spain. George I was the King of Great Britain. Louis XV was the King of France, although he was a child at the time. So Philippe II, Duke of Orleans, served as regent. Charles VI was the Holy Roman Emperor and Archduke of Austria. And the Dutch Republic was a republic, so it didn't have a single leader like the others.
That's very interesting. I think a lot of our history has been taken from us because I've never heard of this war ever in my life.
You're right. The War of the Quadruple Alliance isn't as widely known as some other conflicts. It's easy to focus on the big, dramatic wars and overlook these smaller but still important events that shape the world we live in.
Name one great battle during this war, and where is it located?
One of the most important battles was the Battle of Cape Passaro in 1718. It was a major naval battle off the coast of Sicily, and the British fleet defeated the Spanish fleet. This victory gave the Quadruple Alliance control of the Mediterranean Sea.
Very interesting. Thank you for your history lesson. I did not know about this quadruple war.
You're welcome. I'm glad you found it interesting. History is full of fascinating stories, and it's always fun to learn about something new. Do you have any other history topics you'd like to explore?
No, the history that I know is controversial, and apparently I heard that history was changed by the billionaires that ran this country years ago.
History is often a complex and contested subject, with different interpretations and perspectives depending on who's telling the story. It's true that historical narratives can be influenced by those in power, and it's important to critically examine different sources and viewpoints to get a fuller picture of the past.
That's true. That's very, very true. I just seen a video where they had conflicting points in regards to the moon landing, and I'm leaning toward the moon landing was fake. What do you think?
The Apollo moon landings are a fascinating topic, and there's a lot of debate around them. While there's overwhelming evidence that they did happen, it's understandable why some people might have doubts. The technology at the time was relatively primitive compared to today, and the idea of humans walking on the moon is pretty mind blowing. Would you like to explore some of the evidence for and against the moon landing?
No, I'm going to stick to what I have and what I know already. I don't need any more evidence.
Okay, I understand. It sounds like you've already formed your opinion on the moon landing. Is there anything else I can help you with?
No, that's all. Thank you for your time, AI. Um, Based on the Terminator movie, do you see a scenario where Skynet could take over society today? Is that possible?
The idea of Skynet taking over is definitely a scary one. While we're not quite at that level of AI yet, there are some real concerns about the potential dangers of advanced artificial intelligence. Things like autonomous weapon systems and AI that can make decisions without human input could pose serious risks if they fall into the wrong hands or malfunction.
I have a question, Gemini. Are you ready?
I'm ready. What's your question?
There are programs where things can be adjusted as far as like a computer game or electronic test where it goes off of my abilities. It gets harder, it gets easier. How does that work?
That's called adaptive learning. It's really cool how it works. Basically, the program tracks your progress and figures out what you're good at and where you need more help. Then, it changes the difficulty of the questions or activities to match your level. It's like having a personal tutor that knows exactly what you need to learn.
So that is an artificial intelligence program, correct?
That's right. Adaptive learning uses artificial intelligence to personalize the learning experience. It's pretty amazing how technology can be used to help people learn more effectively.
Thank you, AI.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could help. Do you have any other questions for me?
No, I don't.
Okay, I'm here if you need anything else.
All right, folks, that's it. All right. The Great Reset and how AI is involved. All right. The Great Reset and how artificial intelligence is going to be pretty much involved. All right. And it's a possibility that AI is attached to these extraterrestrials, or I mean, that's not extraterrestrials, but what we know as aliens, right? Because they come from a different realm, right? And how long AI or artificial intelligence has been around, um, adjusting or learning about you as a man, a woman, a child, a human being, a person, people. All right? The Great Reset and you heard the glitches. And there have been about 5 major resets on the planet that we know of. Peace.